Oh, hi. Welcome to the Eyes on Film
Hello.
podcast. How are you?
Sorry, I got scared.
We'll have to start that one again.
Yeah.
I'm going to run through my script after.
Okay, wait, my camera's all. Okay, there we go.
Okay, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not talking to you at first.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Hi. Welcome to the Eyes on Film podcast, the podcast for seasoned cinephiles and budding film buffs alike. I'm Bubba, and I'm old.
I'm Bella, and I'm not. We are lifelong movie lovers, and we thought we'd share some of our wisdom and insanity with all of you. Thank you for joining. Grab a cozy blanket, a snack, a furry friend, whatever makes you happy. Get comfy and enjoy the show. And action.
Action. Does my beard count as a furry friend?
Yes.
It does. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Because I'm bringing it everywhere with me.
It's your emotional support beard.
It is.
You should get a little vest for it. Like,
Yeah. Your
please do
working
not
beard.
pet working. Yeah.
Yeah, do not pet working beard. I should do that. My emotional support beard.
You should do that for Halloween.
Oh,
That'd be great.
yeah, I might actually. Yeah, I
Yeah.
might do that.
Yeah.
That's really funny. So this is our third deep dive?
Fourth.
Okay, our fourth deep dive.
Mhm.
So so we're going to be doing a bunch of stuff coming up. So maybe some top 5 stuff, top 10. I don't know, some lists and stuff like that. Some interesting things coming down the road, as they would say. So we're going to do a deep dive and starting alphabetically with the letter P.
I think so.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. The letter P. It sounds like S, but psycho. Psycho.
Sorry.
Wherever
Psycho.
she is. I'm not sure she's going to be on my left or my right. Psycho.
You're a psycho.
Psycho, the Hitchcock classic. We're both really excited to be talking about this movie. It's kind of interesting to talk about this going on the heels of doing something like The Shining or Alien. Horror genre, very different though, driven a lot differently. Like the things that motivate this movie, the things that kind of wrap you up in this movie are very different than what you'll find in either of those other two movies, which we've just recently gone down the road with. So tell us a little bit about Psycho.
So it was directed by Alfred Hitchcock. It's 109 minutes, which is almost 2 hours.
You're not doing the math.
But it's almost 2 hours.
Yeah.
Since this is an older film, I'm not sure if the actors are big names or not. I think
they were then.
Okay. And you would know that because you're old, right?
Yes, exactly.
Great.
These are my contemporaries. Actually, I wasn't quite born yet, but but there were some big actors, or at least well-known and recognizable actors at the time. Anthony Perkins, I think he was a newcomer, but I don't think it was his first film.
I think this was his breakout role, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Vera Miles. I don't know her. I did know.
I do. She was in a Columbo. Yes.
Was she really?
Yes, she was in Lovely But Lethal with oh my God, what's his name? I can never remember his name. Martin Sheen.
Oh, I love Martin Sheen.
Yeah,
Great
they
actor.
were in a Columbo together.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. We'll have to do a TV, do like TV reviews, like favorite shows and stuff like that. We'll definitely talk about that.
A weird amount of Columbo knowledge, so if that comes up, bear with me, guys. I have to talk about it.
I think that's okay.
So Anthony Perkins, Vera Miles. Do you know any of the other ones?
I know the guy who played Martin Balsam was a big actor in Hollywood.
Okay.
I don't know where this sort of landed in his career, but he was a very prolific, more of a character actor. He wasn't like a leading man type, but he was in a ton of movies. He was a really good actor too. He had actually one of my favorite performances in this movie, as the private detective. But Anthony Perkins was absolutely fantastic. Anyway, you can go through the cast. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's okay. I asked you a question. Uh, so Anthony Perkins is Norman Bates, who is the he's not the he's the bad guy. He's the bad guy.
He's the protagonist. I mean, the movie's about him basically. Ultimately,
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. You're right. So he's not introduced until I think 20 minutes into the movie, which is
yeah,
that's that was unusual at the time. That wasn't something
yeah,
that a lot of filmmakers were doing.
yeah.
Janet Leigh was Marion Crane. She is who you think is initially the protagonist, but then dies.
That doesn't last long.
No. And then Vera Miles is
But
Lila Crane.
she probably has the most memorable scenes in the movie.
Yes, yes, yes.
So
I would
yeah,
agree with that.
yeah,
Vera Miles as Lila Crane, Marion Crane's sister. John
yeah,
Gavin as Sam Loomis, who is Marion's boyfriend. And then
yeah,
Martin Balsam as the private investigator, Milton
yeah,
Arbogast. And this one isn't a star, but I thought it was worth mentioning just as kind of a fun fact. But Pat
yeah.
Hitchcock as Caroline, who was Marion's coworker. Pat Hitchcock was Alfred Hitchcock's only child. She
Was it really?
yeah, she had a few like cameo roles in a lot of his movies.
Yeah,
I don't think that she did a ton of acting otherwise, but yeah. So
yeah,
I thought that was worth mentioning. Kind of a fun little
yeah. No,
tidbit.
no, that's pretty cool. I didn't know that. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's very interesting.
yeah.
Um, yeah. So yeah, pretty. But it was a decent cast. Um, I really got to say the movie was carried by Anthony Perkins.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
It really was. I mean, to be totally honest, like except for the private detective, who I thought was the other sort of the better roles in the movie. Everybody else was, to be totally honest with you, I love the movie. Don't get me wrong. It has nothing to do with saying it's a bad movie, but I found all the other actors to be somewhat wooden, um, and just kind of flat. Like especially the boyfriend. What
Oh,
was his
yeah.
name again? Sam Loomis, John Gavin. I just like you could have put any tall guy with dark hair in that movie, and you would never know. Like it was just a nothing performance, to be honest. Like, and I don't. I think that was kind of the beauty of that film. It was one central character who was really like very developed. Like there were many layers to this character, and I think that's really what kind of drove everything. The dialogue was good. It's always well written with a Hitchcock movie. Like it was, there's some funny and kind of interesting quippy things in there, and just stuff like that. And but I think this mostly was a movie driven by direction and a performance.
I would agree with that. I think Marion Janet Leigh. I think she did a really good job, but she had
She did a
limited
fine
screen
job.
time.
Yeah,
I felt she was very convincing
yeah,
throughout, and I like the way she carried herself. Just kind of her yeah, just her vibe, for lack of a better word. But
yeah.
other than that, there weren't. I would agree with you. There weren't many standout actors, but it didn't really matter. Um, just because Anthony Perkins was so great, and the story is so interesting.
Very
Um,
interesting. And for the time, it was very controversial. Like it was like a big
Very
story at the time.
controversial.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Should we give them the plot and then go into kind of the makings of
yeah.
it
I'm
and
sorry, I kind of got carried away on that.
no,
Yeah,
no,
this
no, that's
definitely.
okay.
Yeah,
So the movie starts following Marion Crane. She steals a bunch of money from her boss. She goes on
yeah,
the lam in an effort to marry her husband or marry her boyfriend with the money. She ends up
Yeah.
at the Bates Motel where she gets murdered by Norman Bates.
Moited.
Moited. In the infamous shower scene with the, you know.
Absolutely. Like probably one of like the most that might be one of the most iconic murder scenes in a movie ever.
If not the most. It's
I think
pretty.
I think it might
Yeah.
be the most iconic murder scene. And that music is just synonymous with stabbing. Like
It is. It really is.
it really is. Like,
He used to play
like
that to me
you
before
hear
I went
that
to
and you
sleep
kind
every
of like
night.
right.
Yeah, every night before bed, just that music, and he would
Right.
just stand over me
Good
like.
night, Bella. Only kidding. I was a really good dad.
Sure.
but um, but yeah. So that movie, like, very. Yeah, she did do a good job. She was a convincing, but I wouldn't say it was a performance where I was like, wow, some great acting chops on her. You know what I mean?
No, I wouldn't either. I think she was good enough to get it done and to do what Hitchcock
Yeah.
wanted her to do, which I think was good.
She was very competent. Let's put it that way. She was
Yeah.
very competent.
Yeah. So
But
once
nothing could compare to Anthony Perkins in
no,
that. Like,
no. So after Marion is murdered, her sister and her boyfriend hire a private investigator to find out what happened, which is eventually Norman Bates' downfall. If you haven't seen the movie, it's been out for like 80 years, so I would get on that.
yeah,
Or
it's
60
probably time
years.
to go see it. Yeah, time to see it.
Really bad at
Yeah.
math. It's been out for a while, so
Yeah, more than a decade.
at least 2.
At least minimum. There's a lot in this movie to like, and I'm not trying to talk it down by saying, you know, the performances, you know, whatever. That's not what you're watching this movie for.
Mm-mm.
You're watching this movie for the story, for Hitchcock's incredible direction, his eye for cinema, and for Anthony Perkins' performance. To be honest, the photography in it is spectacular. Quick little tidbit: he made this movie on a budget by using all of the film crew and production crew from his Alfred Hitchcock's Presents TV show.
Seriously?
Yeah, so that's
Oh
how
my
they saved a
god.
ton of money. And
I
if you
love
look,
that show.
like,
But that's
yeah,
crazy.
so it was meant to be like a movie on a budget, which it kind of was. I mean, you know, it was one small lot on the studio
Wow.
with, you know, this house, which has been used in many other movies. And, you know, they had the little hotel and all that stuff. And that was kind of it. I mean, there was some shots in a little hardware store type thing and a couple other little random shots here and there, but it was really done on a budget. And it ended up doing extraordinarily well. And it really was the movie that brought Alfred Hitchcock into the mainstream as a great director. He's directed all kinds of stuff that's been great and other stuff, but this was a landmark film for him. And it's shot so beautifully in black and white. His eye for black and white is incredible. What would you say the creativity of this story? How creative do you think this movie is as far as
I think it's
story is concerned?
I think it's really creative. It's definitely it's a slow burn kind of thing, I think.
Yeah,
You're not, initially you think it's maybe a crime movie, then you think it's a murder mystery, and then it turns into psychological horror, but at the very end.
yeah.
And I think the way Hitchcock slowly lets you in on the secret is really effective. Yeah. How about you? What are your thoughts? Do you think it was
I think it was really creative, and especially for the time, you know, when it came out. I mean, I don't think there was really anything that could come close to that as sort of being like a mind twister and, you know, what's going on, and like, you know, you're throughout the whole movie, you're kind of going like, what is happening? Like, and like, how are all these pieces going to fit together? It really does kind of draw you into that extent. And I love that. I think that's fantastic. The visuals of this movie are so strong for me with the black and white, especially the shower scene where you're usually shocked and horrified by blood in horror movies. It's not red because it's black and white. It's the blackness of the blood flowing in the tub, going down the drain,
The
and that kind of
contrast.
stuff. The contrast is still very visceral and effective. And he uses a lot of close-ups in this movie,
Mm-hmm.
like extreme close-ups, getting right up into people's faces. And I think that really does draw you into this feeling of claustrophobia. If you see a face that's like completely filling up the screen, you're kind of like, okay, like just, you can back up a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think he really kind of like leverages that uncomfortable feeling of having everything so close. And plus, you're also seeing micro expressions and stuff like that. In the beginning when she's driving to get away, and you can see she's just thinking about things. And if you think about that scene, it's a pretty long scene with her just kind of sitting there driving. And you can see her thinking, you can see her running scenarios through her head. And in that respect, she does a really good job because you do see a lot of those micro expressions pop up. So that does kind of like draw you into her story and to her as a person. So I think that was some very effective techniques that he used. So, but
Yeah.
as far as story concerned, yeah, I think I went off on a tangent. Sorry.
No, I love it. It was great. But the story and actually how the where the idea came from is really interesting. So it is based on a book, which I did know, but I didn't know it for a long time. Uh,
Mhm.
Psycho by Robert Bloch. Bloch.
How do you spell it?
It's Bloch.
Block. Yeah.
Bloch.
Block.
Like
Block.
lock. Like lock.
Yeah. Lock. Yes. Like Loch Ness with a B. It's Block Ness. Hey. Sorry. Sorry to all our Scottish friends. I'm sorry, it's the horrible Scottish accent. We're big in Scotland.
No, we're not.
And definitely not now. I'm, I'm sorry, Scotland. I love you, Scotland.
Sure.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm. But the author was the neighbor, or he lived very close to Ed Gein, who is a serial killer, correct?
Yeah. Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So
If you are a horror junkie, you've probably heard of Ed Gein. If you're a true crime junkie, you've heard of Ed Gein. Ed Gein was the inspiration for this movie and for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. He was a really crazy guy who cut up a lot of people and wore them as suits and stuff like that. Like, just really weird. So, yeah, Ed Gein was a big news topic at that time.
so I thought that was really interesting that his story inspired two of the most famous horror movies in cinematic history. I thought that was
Yes,
really cool. And I also think it's really cool that Texas Chainsaw Massacre probably wouldn't have come about if not for Psycho. And
absolutely.
we'll get into that a little bit as well. That's kind of interesting too. So
Yeah,
this movie has a lot of history and background and weird things going on, and
yeah.
I love it. It's definitely one of my favorite horror movies.
Awesome. Was there anything like visually, for photography wise, that you found to be like really like interesting or that stuck out for you? Or
It's a really weird little detail, but in the hardware store, there's this. It's only in a couple shots, I think, but there's a wall, and on the wall is just knives, kind of in a circle, and it's like
I
a
didn't notice that.
it's weird, and it's kind of just like a display, but I've seen this movie a bunch of times, like at
Yeah.
least 10 times or something, and I hadn't noticed it before, and I was like, oh, that's
Yeah.
unsettling. And
Mm.
it's just little things like that throughout the movie. I think the stuffed birds are really strange. It's like,
Yeah, the taxidermy. Yeah, that was a.
yeah, which is kind of creepy because he kind of taxidermied his mom.
See, it's exactly what he did.
Not well, but he did.
No, no, not a great job.
No, it was
But that's exactly what he did. He preserved her as long as he could, which is just,
so strange.
yeah, so strange.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
it's
I thought that the use of the taxidermy with the black and white and the close-ups of the taxidermy, I think it just, I think Hitchcock used his photography skill, his cinematic skill, to create those uncomfortable feelings for you, where
mm,
he uses it in a different way. Well, let's say we would, we could talk about Kubrick, who's kind of the opposite. He
mm,
uses his photographic skill to create that uncomfortable feeling, but in a completely opposite way. So, but both extremely effective. Like, they're both doing exactly as intended.
yeah, it's really interesting. You're right. Like, Kubrick does a lot of those, really long, those extreme long
Wide.
shots. Yeah, they're like really big shots. And
Yep.
Hitchcock, he's very up close and personal. It's you can definitely see that he wants you to look at things from a certain point of view, which is
Yes.
really interesting. I
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think the use of water in this movie is interesting. He sinks the cars in this like muddy pit. She dies in the
Yeah. The
shower.
swamp. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. It's interesting. It's a little different than other things I've seen. I really appreciated that.
Yeah, me too. Actually, I really loved, and it stuck out to me when I was watching it. I really loved the rain in the beginning when she pulls in to the hotel, or motel, the
Yeah,
Bates Motel.
Bates
Um,
Motel.
Motel. Yeah, it's no Overlook, right?
You are
so
right.
yeah. So I really liked the rain, how he did the rain. It looked very convincing. A lot of rain you see in movies, it just, you could tell it's sprinklers or whatever. And it's, but it was just so convincing the way Hitchcock used it in that. And you never really get a full view of the motel part of it. It's just kind of like the first third of it ish. There's 12 rooms apparently. Um, Not sure where they are, but yeah, but it's well done at how he films it. It just, everything feels claustrophobic in that movie.
Yeah. Yeah,
Even the house, which is a distance away and up a hill, it looms over.
it's domineering.
It's like, it's, yeah, and it's just very imposing. Very, it's dark. It's a mansard style with, like, very Victorian looking, and and if it were painted something other than black, I think it would probably be a pretty house. But yeah, but yeah, I mean, his, again, did a lot with very little, I think, and his photographic eye, I think, was just incredible.
I I agree. It's a really, I don't want to say beautiful because it's a horrifying movie, but there are
It
a
is
lot of like,
beautiful.
it is. It's really masterfully shot. It's
Absolutely.
so impressive. There's so much in each scene, and there's so many things to look at, and it's it's fun to just kind of like, I like to pause this movie just once in a while and just kind of look at a still, just see what's in
Yeah.
that still. It's, yeah, it's really interesting. I one thing that always confused me a little bit was just kind of on a side thing was the fact that there's a peephole to one room,
Room number one, yeah,
but
from the
only
office.
but only one room, which is that was always a little like why just that room? I don't know.
I think probably because he wouldn't have been able to get away with it otherwise.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know. I mean, it could be that he had people from one room to every room, and maybe he, if he wanted to space them apart, he could, go into a room and
Mm,
then whatever. I don't know, but I think that was certainly the most convenient. And being that there were so few people there, I think he just whoever he wanted to spy on, he just
just
throw them
put
in
them in
room
there.
number one. Yeah, yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
So yeah, so always get a room a couple rooms away from the office. Don't hang out by the office.
It's so weird.
But the nice thing was is he changed the sheets all the time, so he kept it clean.
Yeah. Yeah,
He was
he
very
did.
fastidious.
Indeed. Indeed.
Yes.
I'm just looking at my notes again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No problem. The
Um
music. What do you think about the music?
I legendary. It's so great.
Helped make the movie. Helped make the movie.
Absolutely.
I mean, I generally feel like if you notice the music, it's not doing its job, but you notice the music and it works really well. It This movie without the music would not be the same movie. But I love the music in it. I love the scoring, the attention to detail with just little sounds and stuff. Um, I thought it was great, like the
I
soundtrack, and especially the sound effects with the. It's so good. Like it's
it's
just so
awesome.
good.
It's really impressive. I think that sound like the music that plays when he's stabbing her, it
Yeah.
it sounds like rage. It just sounds like that's like if rage were a
It's
sound, that's what it would be like for
yes.
me.
Oh, absolutely. It's almost human sounding screaming, like screeching. It's crazy,
Yeah. Yeah,
but
it's
so
so
beautifully,
effective.
like yeah, brilliantly thought out, like in a brilliant idea, like so iconic. So
I love it.
yeah, if music can be iconic, I guess it can. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely it can.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 So yeah, yeah, I love that. Um, I wouldn't say there are any memorable songs per se. It's not like Singing in the Rain or
No, no.
anything like that.
But I think the most memorable would be the music from the shower scene. I think that's
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Was there any dialogue that stood out to you?
I did like, again, I liked as far as an well, effective performances. I think Anthony Perkins' dialogue with the boyfriend, because the boyfriend's kind of like he's kind of distracting. Uh, uh, uh,
Norman,
Norman from
the sister,
the girl's
Lila.
sister going into Lila to sneak into the house and try and talk to the mother, which doesn't end well. Um, but the dialogue and the conversation he has with the boyfriend, I think, is a great little scene. Like, and it really just it more shows Perkins' range as an actor in that. Like, to be honest, I haven't really seen a lot of good stuff with Anthony Perkins after that. Like,
Interesting.
he's yeah, I mean, it's kind of neat to see him on screen, but there hasn't been anything really else good that I've looked at where I go, well, great performance. Like, nothing that compares to this. Like,
Yeah.
but he did, what a great job he did. And it was like the role was made for him. And he just hit it out of the park. Like, his tiny changes in emotion, where he's looking, how he's holding his hands, like everything he's doing is just perfect, and it wouldn't be the same if it were any different. Um, so yeah, I would say the dialogue in that scene was remarkable and definitely stuck out. So I couldn't recite a line to you, but I just remember listening to it and I was enthralled. Like I was like, what is he saying? It's like interesting what he's saying. Like you want to know more.
I think
How about you?
the scene where he and Marion are talking and she's eating her sandwiches. I love that scene.
Yeah,
It's really interesting, especially after watching the whole movie and then going back and watching it again and seeing how Norman interacts with women versus men. It's so
yeah,
different. And that was so well done by Anthony Perkins.
yeah,
You could still tell it was Norman, but it was Norman talking to a girl. And
yeah,
I thought
yeah,
I thought that was really interesting because he's much more vulnerable and open, but he's also you can see him being aware of the fact that he might be saying things that are weird, but he kind of
yeah.
can't stop
He's trying to
himself.
make a good impression. Yeah,
He is. With men, you can see how much more relaxed and confident he is. You can see that he just it just comes easier to him. He's not in his head about it as much, which I thought
I
was
don't know.
really interesting.
I saw him as more uncomfortable and more like angry and defensive. Like I felt maybe that was more the real him.
Mm.
You know,
I
like letting out a little bit of the rage and stuff like that.
I didn't see him being defensive as a result of him talking to a man. I saw it more as him being defensive because he could see that they were suspecting him of something.
Yeah,
Because initially when the private investigator comes, he's really friendly, he's really nice,
yeah. He was really nice to him. Yeah,
he's super accommodating. Like just
yeah,
it seemed like he was just trying to be very nice. And the more the investigator questions him and trips him up and he sees that it's happening and it's insulting to him
yeah,
and it's it affects his self-esteem, which is when he starts to get defensive,
yeah. You're right.
which is really
You're
interesting.
right.
The psychology in this movie is fascinating to me, and
Yeah,
it's
it, it's
it's so
yeah,
well
it's great.
done.
Yeah, and I think I think Hitchcock did a lot of research into psychology to do this movie. I'm guessing. I don't know how much he did or anything like that, but I really feel like he was like he wanted to get psychology things at least relatively accurate for what was the state of psychology at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, we things have changed drastically, and
No,
you
but
know
I even
whatever.
think
But
I think I agree with you. I think the way Norman existed was it made sense. If something disrupted his routine or anything like that, it became an issue. And it came out in
yeah, definitely.
violent and ugly ways, but you can see how, someone who's obviously mentally ill, he had a system, he had a routine, he had a way he did things, and
Yeah,
then that got disrupted and everything fell apart very
just
quickly.
spiraled and went out of control.
And you can see his
Yeah,
routine in really interesting ways, like when he's hiding Marion's body. You can tell he's done that before. You can tell that's a process that he's used to because he
you
has. Go ahead.
no, you think he had killed a lot before?
I don't know necessarily that he had killed a lot before, but you could tell he had definitely hidden bodies before.
Yeah,
The the he did everything with such intent, and you could see him like going down his mental checklist, and he has a moment where he's like shocked and panicked, but it doesn't last long. It doesn't.
Yeah, that's true.
It. He takes a minute, gets his breath, and then immediately goes to work. And it's
That's
systematic.
right.
He's like, okay,
Yeah,
shower curtain's down. We'll use that to roll her up. He checks all of the drawers and all of the cabinets to make sure she didn't have anything there. He wipes everything down.
yeah,
He gets a mop really quick. He
yeah.
backs the car into a better position to put the body in. That's not shit I would
Yeah.
be thinking about if
He
I
and
was.
he threw away the bucket and the mop, which I thought was interesting,
Yes, this
which was pretty smart. Like,
he he was so intentional and systematic and thorough with the way
yeah,
that he did everything. There's no way he hadn't done it before. I
yeah,
and I think the fact
yeah.
that
No, I think you're right, and it wasn't just his mother. So he must have. Yeah, it must have been a
he
thing for
must
him.
have, and
Yeah,
whether or not it was his mother, his mother personality doing it, or whether his mother had killed people and he was
yeah,
helping her, whatever it was, he had definitely it was definitely something he was used to. Which
yeah,
and the fact that they don't explicitly say that he killed other people besides his mother, but the fact that Hitchcock had Anthony Perkins do that scene in that way is really, really cool to me because it opens up that possibility of like, where did this guy come from? What is he doing
yeah,
there?
yeah,
How does he know to be that thorough and careful
yeah,
about everything? It's really
yeah,
fascinating to me, the minutia of this movie. Like
yeah,
someone not freaking out is
yeah,
weird, and it triggers something in you that's like,
yeah.
hmm,
But he wasn't comfortable with the questions though, so I don't think he'd ever really been questioned before.
I don't think so, I don't think so either. I know I could see the detective tripping him up on stuff, and you could
Yeah,
see Norman getting frustrated that he was being fooled repeatedly. It was
yeah,
it
yeah,
was frustrating for him that someone was taking advantage of him, and that the investigator thought he was dumb, obviously, because he kept
yeah,
tripping him up. So you could tell his pride was being hurt, and that
yeah,
was getting him really angry. That's how
yeah,
I saw
definitely.
that scene,
Okay.
but I could be wrong. My interpretation could
No,
be.
no, I don't know. That works for me.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Oh, I'm sorry. I just wanted to roll back one thing.
Yeah.
We were talking about uh, the cinematic techniques and stuff like that. There is one thing where the detective, he kills the detective and pushes the detective down the stairs, and
Hmm.
he slaps, and the detective falls down the stairs. The camera tracks his fall going down, so the camera stays at a consistent distance with him as he's falling. So you're seeing him go like this, but you see him during the fall being followed by the camera,
That's pretty
um,
cool.
which which is that was something that Hitchcock sort of innovated,
Really.
that kind of shot. Yeah. So he does it. I think in I can't remember the name of the movie, but anyway, he's done that before, and he's done it in a couple shots, and it's been used in other movies since as well, including uh, Die Hard, where Hans Gruber is pushed out the window, and
Oh,
the camera kind of follows him down to a certain extent, and then he falls away. And there's been a few movies where that's come up, and that's just a very interesting filming technique, and I like that. So I remember that was one of the points I wanted
no,
to throw
thank
out
you. That's
before we went too far on anything. So let's talk about the legacy of this movie.
yeah. Aside from all of the references and, things borrowed, homages made, everything like that, there were three sequels made to Psycho after Hitchcock's death. Anthony Perkins did direct one of them, which I thought was kind of cool. There was
Yeah,
a shot for shot remake in 1998 by Vince Vaughn, and
yeah.
there's
I
a
don't I don't understand the shot for shot remake thing. I have a feeling it's just an ego exercise.
it very well could be. I'm not sure. I
Just in general, like I don't know why people would do shot for shot remakes of things. I'm suspecting again,
Ego.
take ego. I think, yeah, I could do the same thing that Hitchcock did. I have those skills, whatever. So whatever. But interesting.
Yeah, yeah. And if you want to see Psycho but not Psycho, I mean,
Yeah,
I don't.
but see Vince Vaughn do not as good as a job as it at it as Anthony Perkins. Uh,
But then there's also a TV series called Bates Motel, which is it acts as a prequel, but it's set in modern times, and it follows Norman and his mother right when they move to the motel. So
did you ever watch any of it?
I watched a little bit of it. I started it again after I watched Psycho. Uh,
Yeah,
it's it's not bad. It's interesting. I
yeah,
It explains a lot of things, but it doesn't quite have the same magic to me that Psycho does. It's
yeah,
definitely about the story and about Norman and about his psyche, but I wasn't a huge fan of it. It's good. It's worth watching. I'll probably watch the whole thing again, but I wouldn't say it's amazing. I wouldn't say it's on par with Psycho.
okay. I was just curious because I never really watched it. I had seen some of the sequels. I don't think I was ever impressed with any of them. I didn't remember Psycho 2. So I had just put that on tonight before this. Haven't finished it. It's on pause right now. So I'll probably finish up watching that tonight. So,
Awesome.
but yeah, but anything Hitchcock has done has definitely been an influence on many generations of directors and films afterwards. So definitely worth looking at. So
Yeah. Actually, speaking of that, if you
yeah.
wanted to, I'd wanted to talk about the Hayes Code and the production code a little bit.
Oh yeah. So this was also a very significant movie for a number of reasons. And actually, you have a list of reasons why it was so important. Yeah, just go right ahead. I'm
Oh, okay. All right, cool.
really interested in hearing this stuff.
Awesome. Okay, so again, I am not by any means an expert, but I did learn about some of this in college. So as long as my professors are legit, I think I'm pretty legit. But Psycho was one of the first horror movies that broke away from science fiction horror. So before Psycho, it was a lot of Frankenstein or Dracula, Nosferatu, things like that. And this was largely due to the Hays Code or the production code in Hollywood at the time. This was Hollywood based. Foreign films were, you know, all bets were off on there. I'm sure there were
Yeah,
other censorships, but I don't know of them. But the Hays Code was essentially a censorship code for Hollywood productions where it was supposed to make movies wholesome, I guess. You know,
yeah,
there was no sex, no sexual innuendos, no gore, just a bunch of rules like that.
it was
Couldn't
more of a moral code, I would say, right?
definitely, and
Yeah,
movies would have to pass, the Hays Code, whatever thing. Like it was like it was something that they monitored, and it was a big deal. It shaped a lot of Hollywood, the golden age of Hollywood. So that's part of the reason why there were so many musicals and fun kind of uplifting films rather than interesting, or not that those movies aren't interesting, but this movie was one of the first ones to really go against the grain in a lot of ways. I mean, it opens with the scene of Marion and her boyfriend on a bed. Very clear that there's like something sexual going on there, and
yeah,
according to the Hays Code, you couldn't have a couple on the same bed. They had to have two separate beds. Which if you've seen I Love Lucy, that's a great example of that, where Ricky and Lucy have two
yeah.
separate beds. You see that
Two separate beds.
frequently.
Yeah,
So the fact that that's the opening scene says a lot. I think. And then
Yeah,
there was supposed to be no nudity. Obviously, you can't see, Marion nude, but it's made clear that she is nude. So that was its
yeah.
own thing. This was the first American-made movie, like mainstream, where you see a toilet flushing. Like that was written
I
down.
think that's so
I think
crazy.
it's so awesome.
Yeah,
And then the fact that Norman dressed up as his mother, that was a whole other thing as well.
totally. Yeah,
Cross dressing was not at all
not
okay.
a thing.
Any allusion to homosexuality, being trans, or anything like that, just not allowed, not
Off the
considered.
table.
Yeah. So this movie also, beyond just breaking the Hays Code, like I said earlier, it moved horror in a completely different direction. It opened it up to slasher films. So when I said
Wow. Yeah,
earlier in the video that Texas Chainsaw Massacre wouldn't have been made without Psycho, that's what I mean. It created the slasher film genre, which
yeah.
is just like what a legacy just on its own. That's incredible. It's definitely not a slasher film in the sense like when you bring up like a slasher flick, like you don't
In
think
the
of
modern
Psycho,
sense, yeah,
right? But it's directly responsible for the popularity of slasher films and just their existence, which I think is
absolutely.
super cool.
Amazing. Yeah, I'm just reading here. The Hays Code went from 1930 to 1968.
Wow. So
Crazy.
I was reading a little bit about it. Apparently, Hitchcock circumvented a lot of the rules. There were like people from the Hays Code like didn't show up on certain days. They were supposed to reshoot things, so he just
Oh,
left it
so
in.
yeah,
I know that was
yeah,
the case for the opening scene. So there
yeah.
was
What
in
year
the
was this again?
1960.
1960.
I'm
Wow.
pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's crazy.
the
So
Hays
he kind of went around it.
yeah, the Hays Code was also kind of losing its power around this
Yeah,
time.
its teeth.
Yeah,
Yeah,
more rules were being bent. There was more leeway. More people were finding loopholes and things. So it was really cool. It's a really important film in a lot of ways. Yeah.
yeah. That's so cool. So interesting. That's awesome. Thank you so much for that. That's really
Yeah.
cool.
Thanks for letting me yap.
Good, good info. No, I'm learning a lot. That's why I like this podcast is because
Me too.
you
And
still learn stuff, and
yeah, it's awesome. And we'll put links in the description for there's an article about Psycho's influence on the horror genre, and then I'll put one to the Hays
yeah,
Code
yeah.
as well. So
Oh, it's awesome.
yeah,
Great. Well, thank you so much.
thank you. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about that we didn't?
I don't think so. I mean, I really enjoyed the movie. For me, it's again the movie boils down to great story, great directing, and a great actor. And and very good actors on the parts of the other actors. Um, the the movie as a whole, I think, it's more than the sum of its parts. Let's put it that way. It creates a feel, the way everything is put together. It creates a vibe that is bigger than just photography or just the actor or whatever. So it's just how Hitchcock brings all those things together. I think is always just amazing in any movie you watch. I love dialogue in Hitchcock movies, like the real dialogue. It's always really interesting. I love his use of music in almost every movie. He's got a very musical mind. You don't think of Hitchcock as a music guy, but I think music is really important to him. And I think small dynamics between people are very important to him, as relationships, like small relationships, not just a person being a type of thing, but how that person interacts with the closer relationships around them. I think is always just extremely well done, well thought out, and uh, I think Hitchcock just really put his brain into that kind of stuff, and just such a great eye and a great sense of humor, actually.
The dark humor
So
in his movies is awesome. I think it's Yeah, or just the humor
Yeah.
in general, but like there's a lot of
Yeah.
dark humor, which is really really
Yes.
cool and very subversive.
Yeah.
You didn't in his time you didn't see a whole lot of it. So
Yeah. I love it. So, yeah, Psycho definitely one of my favorite movies. It's we're not
absolutely.
gonna like I said, we're not gonna review a lot of bad movies here. So to say everything is my favorite movie is probably true, but um, it's we
Everything is
definitely
my
this
favorite movie.
everything is they're all my favorite movie. But yeah, please put this on your list if you haven't seen it yet. And if nothing else, it may be a little kind of like bland compared to like today's slasher movies or the torture porn or whatever gross stuff, like the Saw movies or whatever. But watch this movie and get a feel for where all that stuff came from. And really, like, this is kind of like the starting point of really good horror and psychological horror and thriller and suspense and all that, because you do feel like kind of tense through the whole movie. Is she going to get caught? Are they going to figure out who it is? Are they going to, there's it's the whodunit kind of stuff, and we all know whodunit, but are they going to get him? That's the fun part. So yeah, so take the time out, watch something great, like truly great.
I have one more thing, and I think you're really gonna like
Yeah.
this. At the
Yeah.
end, when we go into Norman's cell, he does that Kubrick stare.
Yes, he does. Yes.
I have always wondered if Kubrick kind of took some inspiration from that.
You know what? I was, since we did a Shining video, and we'll put a link to that up here somewhere or on the side, or I don't know where facing your computer, but it's
Maybe
going to be
up your
around here somewhere.
nose.
Up, could be. But the Kubrick was really, as much as he controlled everything, he was really open to just good ideas. He just liked things that worked, and he was okay doing that. Like, it didn't always have to be his idea. Actually, one thing I was listening to today is that the idea of having Danny's big wheel. I'm sorry, I'm not going to digress too much into The Shining, but Danny's big wheel going around the hotel, he was worried about the sound, but another director, Werner Herzog, said to him, "Oh, I think it sounds cool." And he's like, "Really?" And he's like, "Yeah." And then he listened to it again. He goes, "Yeah, okay." And then
That's
he left
awesome.
it, which is
Wow.
great. And so I think maybe that Kubrick look, or that Kubrick stare or gaze or whatever it is, maybe it was a little homage, sorry, to Alfred Hitchcock.
I would
That
like to
could
think
be.
that. I don't know that we'll ever know. I don't know if
Yeah,
that information is out there, but I think for myself, I will think that. I like that.
yeah, I like that too. I think it probably, I'm guessing it probably is, and whether he took it deliberately or not, I think it. He was a fan of cinema as much as anything else. So I really wondered, and good on Hitchcock for inventing the Kubrick look.
Yes! Slay Hitchcock.
You slay Hitchcock. So anyway, but this was a wonderful conversation.
This was
Really,
so
really,
fun.
yeah, really great and thoughtful, and a lot of new information and interesting ideas and
Yeah,
stuff.
me too.
This is not as deep as we could go into as, let's say, The Shining or something like that. But it's like, I have such a warm place in my heart for this movie. It it's it's just a great film, and it's just of great quality, and I like things of quality, and this is a quality film.
On a personal note, this was one of the first horror movies you had ever shown me, and it's always been very important to me because of that.
Oh,
And it was one of the first times we were able to bond over a horror movie, which was really cool. Uh,
oh, that's awesome.
so yeah, it was a big reason why I wanted to do this movie, a deep dive with you on
Oh,
this movie, because it's just, I always think of you when I see this movie, not in like a terrifying way, but like
like think of me as like the Anthony Perkins kind of thinking of me, like.
no.
No, I always wanted to show you good stuff. I always wanted to show you good movies, and you know, I'm just thrilled to death. I can't even tell you how happy it makes me that you enjoy movies like Psycho
I love
and,
this
and, and
movie.
great cinema. It makes me really happy.
No, I'm so happy we talk about it and we're doing this. It's so cool.
Me too. Me too. This is so much fun. Uh, awesome.
Awesomeness. Aww.
Oh,
Gross.
Anyway, yeah. Ugh. So, guys, we want to thank you again very much for tuning in and watching Eyes on Film. This is definitely a passion project. We love doing this. We really want to connect with the audience and people watching movies, and if we can educate. If if you can educate us, we're up for that too. We really like the vibe, and as we said, if it's dark outside, it's light in here, and we're always looking to bring some light in and fun and interesting conversation and be right or be wrong or whatever. It doesn't really matter. But,
we just like to
talk
talk
about film and we just want to celebrate film.
Yes.
Because it's such an important part of our lives. So thank you, Bella. Thank you so much. This was great.
Thank you. And thank all of you. And we'll see you next time.
Yes, please squish the subscribe button.
Squish it.
And click the like button. And then the notifications, whatever, you figure that out. I'm too old to explain that. So anyway, we'll be back with more. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate everything, guys. Thank you so much.
Bye.